And this is actually this is a very good point, and this is the reason. This is the one of the reasons why I at some point of time I just looked into the group of software developers. Like, let's say I think that software developers is a great group to work with. Not because they are awesome people overall, right? But also because
they're pretty awesome anyway. But
yeah. They have the other good reason. The other good reason is they have very special needs, because their needs are. I mean, software industry is global by default, right? So obviously, like what you are working on, the stuff you are working on, has been developed in a different country. Whether you are, even if you are in the most remote place in Bolivia, you are still using tools that are developed somewhere else, right? So that's encouraging thing, and that's why maybe many people actually naturally they want to be part of that community naturally, even if they don't have any plans to move to overseas countries. They still want to communicate with fellow developers overseas, maybe doing projects and so on. So I felt that this is very important factor, because if you look into some other professional groups, they might simply not have enough sort of motivation to start communicating with people apart from maybe personal motivation. Like, for example, if I go overseas very often, maybe I need to improve my communication skills. But if I work here in Japan, like I don't communicate with foreigners, then I don't even like feel like spending time on it. So developers is but so
that is true. That is very true.
And that again brings me to the point that I raised earlier, that basically sometimes I feel that developers lack direction, like for example, like steps in how to get there faster. I mean, obviously we will get there one day or another. We will get there, but it might take maybe 20 years. They don't have 20 years in their professional career. They have only a few months to improve their professional career. So I was thinking maybe we could think about a few steps, or at least a few hints for them that will provide the solution from our personal perspective. Like, for example, I can share my experience. You could also share. So how to get there faster. So that's the objective. So how to hack the language education and professional skills education.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, the way that I always like to approach a particular problem is always to start with the end in mind. Right? And we talk about this on the Software from the Ground Up series of videos.
Yeah.
But basically, if you know where the end is, then you have at least somewhat of a chance of getting there. Now, what's also interesting is that you also have to know where you are.
Yeah.
As well. So that way you can plot a line to go there. Right? So some people doesn't necessarily have a good clue of where they are. They have some clue, but the thing is that a lot of times when people are trying to take a realistic view, some people can get depressed by when they try to think about themselves realistically, because they like a view of that they are better than where they are currently at. I feel like I do that one. I feel like I do that quite often actually. A lot of time I'll be like, oh, I'm an awesome developer, but chances are I'm probably just an average developer, right? It's like, I know how to manage project very well. I probably do okay, but how good am I? Who knows? Right? So, but that's the realistic thing, right? If you can take a realistic view of where you are, then you know where you need to start from. Then you can finally have a chance of going to where you want to go, right? It's like, if, say, for example, a developer wants to, say, for example, come in to immigrate, right? If you want to immigrate to, say, like, US, Europe, Canada, right? Now, that's a very particular goal. It would be a different goal than if all you want to do is if you want to work on US, Canada projects, right? Like, this goal and this goal have different requirements, even though they have some similar requirements, but there are some specific ones that's for each one of them. So just by knowing what your goal is, or if all you want is just say you just want to improve English. So for example, if your goal is to just improve English, then you wouldn't. It's really a general goal. It really doesn't tell you what is exactly things that you need to accomplish to there. You know, maybe so. If you want to improve English, then you should actually say something else instead. You should say that I want to be able to speak with native speakers fluently. And then we can define fluently by saying no pause, no lack of vocabulary. Right? See, now that we have more specific goals that we can start to define, say, how do you work toward there, right? It's like if you want to say no pause, then you really have to practice over and over again. You can say, for example, did I lose my mouse? Okay. So you can say, for example, if I'm pausing for more than 0.5 seconds, that's no good. But I can give myself some break by saying 0.5 seconds or less. It's okay. You know, it still feels like there's no pause there. And now if you want to say no lack of vocabulary, pretty soon you'll realize that there are so many words in English that chances are you will never going to learn them all. So you need to define, say, in what domain. So maybe, hopefully, it's the computer science domain. Right? Business domain. So on.
And even more specifically, the context of, like, let's say if I'm Android developer, so quite obviously I need to understand the context of Android development, while maybe if we're talking about just general engineering systems, then probably I won't be even able to maintain that conversation. That's okay.
I promise there's a lot of words that a doctor will use. I have no idea what they are. For example, lawyers will be using words I have no idea what they are.
That's a perfect example.
Even we're both speaking English.
It's perfect.
And I'll be using words that they don't know anything about at all. So even the native speakers is not going to be able to cover all the vocabularies.
Of course.
Right? So, you know, but this is now that we have specific goals. And if you have specific goals, then you can actually measure yourself on how to get there. And working on US projects, you know, that's also a specific goal. Then you gotta know what improves your chance. You know, obviously working on English helps, right? Working on your technical skills also help, because the more that you know about your technical skill, the more confident you will feel about yourself. Right? And then finally, professional skills. Right? And we'll include things like sales in here just for now as well. You know, how to find projects. You know, how to, say, for example, craft resumes, portfolios, and just conversations with the clients. What would they like to hear, and so on and so forth. You know, we can just kind of lump it all together in professional skills as well. Right.
And I think there is important aspect to it, like when even though many developers actually understand that point, but what they are doing the wrong thing. They will go into technical documents, they will go into something written, and they will start reading it. And even though it's a good first step, but it doesn't replace the actual communication, because when we just read it and maybe even write it, it's not the same as getting that email directly from client and say, okay, I need to get it done by tomorrow. So sometimes people tend to to focus too much on reading and understanding, whether they actually need to spend that time on maybe actually communicating, like even, and that will definitely bring them there faster.
Definitely. Now, these are all very important skills to have. And one thing that we're saying here, what to improve, right? What improves your chance? Because you can get lucky a couple times. Luck definitely plays a role. You can get lucky to get onto a US project. But then the question is, can you consistently find yourself US projects? There's a difference between getting lucky a couple times versus actually able to always get yourself into projects. And if you're always able to get into yourself project, it means that these pieces will check out fine, right? So what I'm saying here is this. If you don't have these skills, you can still depend on luck for a couple times, right? But if you want to always be able to find yourself gigs, the type of gigs that you want, then you gotta make sure that you improve the right skills to maximize your chance of doing so. Okay, and then the same as, say, immigrate to U.S. and Canada, right? There are paths that many people take that are known to work. Okay. And there are paths that that are not known to work. For example, a path that's known to work is this: is to become a student in U.S. This is a known to work path. You come and get yourself a student visa to come to U.S. Then, while you are a student here, find work here locally. Use your student visa to get work, and then use your work to transfer that. So basically, use your student visa, leverage that into a work visa. Okay, and because you're here locally, you have a chance to, one, speak with native speakers. You just have to speak with native speakers to improve English. Now, I also tell you this: I've seen a lot of students who come here, and they don't speak with native speakers. They get comfortable with because they are not the only person who speaks their own native language when they come here. They are hanging out with foreign students, so they spend all their time speaking with the foreign students, and actually did not improve their English. Now, so those people also don't last here. The ones that last are the ones who actually spend effort to try to improve their English, and then continuously apply for jobs. And then, assuming they are smart, assuming they have good grades, there's no reason why that they cannot get into the right situations here. And obviously that has to do with competition. So it's possible that they might work their hardest, but there's not cut off for it. That's possible too. But I've seen more successes than I've seen failures in those situations.